Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the webinar on Bank Manager. So as advised, we're going to take you through Bank Manager and how the many features of it work. Bank Manager is an exceptionally powerful add-on module. It can save you a lot of time from manually having to capture your bank statements to importing them and just setting up your mappings. So with that, we're going to go to our cash book. Guys, I'm not going to go through direct bank feeds in this webinar. The only reason being is that I would have to put in my personal banking details. So for that, if you do want to see how to set up the bank feeds, there are documents available. You can go and check those out on the Help Center, and it will take you step by step through the process of setting up your bank feeds. So once we've opened our cash book, you would click on the Pastel Bank Manager. It should open up and it should ask you to select your service provider. If you are using automatic bank feeds, at the top it'll say automatic bank feeds and you can just select that. Or you can select your bank and the format from the drop-down list. You will then select the three dots in order to import your statement. And then we would select okay. If you had already imported it, it will advise you that it has already been imported. And do you still wish to proceed with the import? This is to try to avoid you duplicating your transactions. So if you imported it, took a look, closed Bank Manager, and you didn't update anything, you would then select yes. If, however, you're unsure, you might want to rather select no and go and actually check your transactions to ensure that the specific bank statement has not yet been processed through your Sage Pastel Accounting. In my case, I know it hasn't, so I'm going to click on yes. Then, guys, your Pastel Bank Manager statement summary will display. Now, you can use this as a quick recon check because any transactions that you process through Bank Manager are automatically reconciled. Even if you go to view your bank recon, you would only be able to view it. If you try to actually process, it will probably come up with a message, there are no transactions, because they've been reconciled already and saved as reconciled. So here it will give you your period closing balance, the projected closing balance, and you would then enter your statement balance accordingly. And hopefully it would say that there's no difference. So you would look at your closing statement balance and then you would put in the value, for example. So here we can see there's a 95 cents difference, or you would see any other kind of difference. This is a quick check just to check, okay, all of my transactions are here, does it balance? If there's a problem here, is it from the previous month possibly? What do I need to look at? Why isn't it balancing? This does not need to stop you. You can just click on continue and it will then pull through all of your transactions. Now you've got three tabs. You've got your payments, your receipts, and all. If you're going to show all, it's going to give you your payments and your receipts. If there's a problem, it helps to rather work in one or the other. Then right at the top, you've got your import file. So say, for example, you look at the statement, you go, hang on, I have used it previously. I don't want to use this one. You can then go and import another statement instead of having to close everything and start from scratch. You can click on Save Changes. That means when you come back, those changes will be there for you to look at. You can revert the changes, which means if you've done anything and you're unhappy with it, you can click the back option. That's what this is, back. Your create batches are when you have done everything. You can then either create all batches, create only your payment batch, or only your receipt batch. Your add mappings are there for transactions that happen every single month. They're a standard. Instead of having to come through and go, okay, which account am I going to send this through? And actually selecting all your accounts, double checking your tax, etc. You can actually set this up one time and then add a mapping. You can also configure the mappings that are set up in case something has changed. Again, you can go back to your summary to have a look. You can export your entire list to an Excel sheet, make your changes there and import it, or you can click on About, and that will show you the version of Pastel Bank Manager that you are running. So guys, those are your top options. Then we come to actually working in Bank Manager. Now, the first time you work in Bank Manager, you're not going to have any settings set up. In this case, you may need to go and have a look and go, okay, anything, for example, your lottery. Maybe you do purchase lotto. I do play it. This is my personal bank statement. Please don't judge my purchases, but I had nothing else to use. So guys, here, for example, we might go, okay, we're going to put this to, for example, bank charges. You can change your tax if need be. Example 01, or your 15%, which is 15. And if you use Project Tracker, you can enter your projects. Now, while this is highlighted, you might purchase lotto on a regular basis. You can go add mapping. Now, it's going to give you your bank statement option. Now, this is specifically giving you this V number. Now, that's not necessary. That is different every single time. So we're just going to go search here for lotto ticket, and I want you to put it as, for example, lotto ticket. It is my payments. Do I want it to be in payments and receipts, and it always goes to the same account? You can do both. Is it just for the current cash book, or is it in all of my cash books? And then apply to current import on save. Now guys, if we don't select that, that means anywhere that there's a lotto ticket, you're going to have to do it manually. But if you apply to the current import and we go save, anywhere that that comes up, that it can find, for example, lotto purchase, it will then map that accordingly. You can also configure this and go, hang on, I don't want you to do that. What I want you to do is I want you to just search for lotto. Apply to the current import, overwrite all the mappings and say save. Now you can see, hang on, now it's already filled in that one. So I don't have to do it. And every time I now import a statement, it's going to automatically fill that in for me. Another one here, telecom account. Okay, great. Let's add a mapping. Sorry, guys. My bad. If you don't select an account, it will give you a warning. You haven't selected an account. What exactly are we mapping? Here we want to look, for example, for telephone. And not telephone support. There we go, telephone and fax. And now again, we can add that mapping. We can just go anywhere that you see telephone account. And guys, please use something generic. As you saw when I used lotto ticket, it only picked it up once. But the moment I used lotto, it actually filled in all of my mappings. Again, is this on payments and receipts? Is it on one cash book or all cash book? And save, and you'll see it automatically fills it in. So guys, that's your mappings, and your mappings are really helpful for things that happen every month. So do I have specific transactions that come off every month, especially with customers in our receipts? Do I have customers that are actually paying me on a continual basis? Now here we saw again with that mapping, I only put it to my payments. So here I can do all, overwrite, save, and it's immediately done. So guys, on your receipt side, it's going to be your customer payments. Are there payments coming off every single month? Let me map that. But I'm not going to use the specific V number, for example. I'm just going to use the customer's name or the customer's code. So that's how your mappings work, guys. Then you might want to split transactions. So maybe you've got a transaction here and you actually need to, for example, go and split that transaction. So here you've made a payment. You need to split that transaction. You would select it, right click and say split transaction. Again, if you don't select your account, it's going to give you a problem. So here we want to split the transaction. It's going to come up and it's going to tell you the amount. So this is the amount that you've got to split. How exactly do you want to split it? So then you will select. Again, you can split it, so maybe it was a different account that it needed to go to. Whatever, you're going to select your account, for example, and then we're going to split it. So, and it's going to tell you what your difference is here. So guys, before it didn't used to tell you a difference. You would actually need to know exactly what the amounts were. If you do make an error, you will basically see it the moment you go off. It needs to say that there's 0 difference, and you'll then say save, and it'll automatically split that for you. The other option that we have, guys, is if you right click, you can fill down ledger description. And what it's going to do is it's going to change the ledger description. The same works with your fill down account. It does exactly the same thing. It fills the account down. So if you see, hang on, there are a whole bunch that you have, or you want to change that description, you can do that. You can fill down the reference in increments. So for example, when you import your bank statements, it imports it and you can see that it's using the day, the month, and then it's just putting a 001. Now, guys, that can actually cause consolidation, especially if you're working with multiple bank accounts and it happens on the same day. And for example, maybe your bank charges all happen on the same day and then it has exactly the same reference. It's going to consolidate them. You may not want that. So what you can do is you can enter your own reference here. For example, maybe you have a specific name for this cash book or a specific letter. Pay 0801, for example. So you know that it's happening in August or September or whatever. You've now entered that, but now you don't want to have to go and change hundreds of your references. You can then right-click, fill down an increment, yes, and look at that. It's now incrementing everything, no consolidation. In Pastel, you do want to use unique references. So please bear in mind that the references when you import aren't great. Rather set up your own and then use that fill down option. Okay, so guys, something that's been asked is that we are not allowed to allocate a discount when receipting directly on Bank Manager. So guys, there is no discount option. To my knowledge, that has been requested as a suggestion. I cannot tell you where that suggestion lies in the system. Suggestions are literally that. It's a suggestion. The development team will look at it. They will then look at who else wants it, the value that it adds to the program, as well as if they do try to implement it, what effects it has on the core program. If it changes too much of the core program, so it causes a lot of issues, it will be declined. If you are the only person who's requested it and there's stuff that can add greater value, it may be overlooked this time round. So guys, a suggestion does not mean it will be done. Even an approved suggestion means that they've looked at it, they've seen the validity in the suggestion, but they cannot say when it will be implemented. It might be a year, it might be 10. So I know a suggestion has been logged to allow that. I cannot tell you when it will happen. In this instance, you would need to do your bank manager statements, and then you would need to go into your cash book, and you would need to do it via your cash book. So guys, there are things that have to in Bank Manager. Bank Manager, again, can save you time and money, but there are things you cannot do in it. Unfortunately, allocating the discount is one of them. The same when matching. Matching in Bank Manager is not automatic. You actually need to double check your matching in the cash, those transactions are mapped or are matched to the correct invoice accordingly. Alternatively, you may have to go to match open item if you are using open item. So guys, we've gone through the fill down options. We've gone through the splitting transactions. Then what you rows and receipts, I think those are pretty standard. So if you've got a transaction that is sitting in your payments, there should be a receipt. For example, you actually use the bank manager layout. That is allowed where, for example, your specific bank isn't listed, and you download your statements as a CSV and you put it into the bank manager format, which is date, description, amount. So you either need a negative or a positive to discern whether it's whooped. So change my whole import, I can just move to receipts, for example. Guys, you can select multiple. Lines, and then you can also move those, or you can delete and add all of your transactions. You would then, not configure, you would then go to create batches, and you would tell it to create your batch. If you use a main account where you have sub accounts, you will get an error. Hopefully it will tell you the line and it will give you the red X and it will tell you main account used. If you get a red X on any of your transactions, either you haven't completed it One, two, three testing. Guys, please advise if you can hear me again. I'm terribly sorry. I completely lost connection. Am I coming through again? Okay, fantastic. Guys, how far did you hear? I do apologize. There was a technical glitch. Did you hear me about if the batch isn't made, that you can export to Excel from Bank Manager and then try to re-import into the Bank Manager? That will also tell you where there are errors. Okay, so in the Pastel Bank Manager, where I showed you that import-export option, that is another way to also check for errors. So you would export it, and you would then re-import it. That will also tell you where there are errors. So those are ways to see where those errors are if they don't tell you with the little red cross. Then guys, from here, as I said, there are things that unfortunately you would need to do. So for example, you may need to actually go and allocate your matchings. Unfortunately, it doesn't do it automatically. Or with the discount. This is where you would need to come in then, and you would need to actually select that discount. So you would need to put it in or run the remittance assistant. Once you are happy that everything here is selected, again, here you will see that everything has been reconciled. You can then select update, or alternatively, if you do want to check your recon, you can go to process, bank reconciliation, and because of the fact that, guys, this is already reconned, what you're going to have to do is you would have to then view your reconciliation, for example, because it sees it as reconned, and you would then have a look and see, okay, that's what it says it should be, that's what it is. Oh, we've got a big difference, and this is where you can figure out what the problems are or what's happening in this company and why are we having those issues. So that's the one way, without having to update this and then having to fix everything. The other option is to update, and then if you see a problem, you can do reversals. My honest advice to you would be double check the recon before you update. If you see there's a problem, rather resolve it, because doing reversals can get messy, especially if done incorrectly. And you don't want to have to process an entire batch and then have to reverse that entire batch. Luckily with Bank Manager, it is a little bit easier. Basically, you just export this batch, change the bank values from a positive to a negative, and then re-import them. But still, it can be messy. And if you don't have to do it, it is better. So guys, that's basically how Bank Manager works, how it can help you, a couple of tips and tricks. Does anyone have any questions on any of the options, things you would like me to show you in more detail? Please send your questions through now. Okay, so guys, if you don't have any questions, that's great. So I did advise that if you do want to make use of direct bank feeds, you can do so. There is information in the Pastel Help Center. So I just want to show you where that is. Sorry guys, the only reason that I don't go through it is because, well, my passwords and stuff are confidential. I don't really mind if you see my transactions, but I would prefer if you don't know my login details. And you can see that we've got bank feeds here. Now, guys, with direct bank feeds, these are the videos. It'll show you how that works. The video is very, very nice and can give you a live demonstration. Well, we do have documentation. Okay, so guys, what I've been asked is why is there sometimes a delay in retrieving the bank statement? So initially, when you set up the bank statements, especially initially, there may be a delay. And the reason for that delay is that once you've set up the bank feeds and you've entered all the information, you may not be able to get the information immediately because the bank actually gets a request saying this has happened. This is what's going on. Sage has requested this. This user has requested it, and they've accepted the terms and conditions. But the bank still needs to give that approval. So until the bank has given that approval, so this is all of the info. I do have it somewhere. You may get this. I'm sorry, you cannot download transactions for this account yet. Once your bank has authorized your application, you can start downloading. Then it works on a timer. So in order so that you don't keep getting those, because you do get messages every time bank feeds are requested, and I think that it's on an 8-hour relay. That might be why there's a delay. It's to try to not inundate you unnecessarily. When you do request the feeds, though, they should come through. It may take a few minutes. Again, it's got to pass from our system through to the bank system. The bank system needs to check for authority and go, yes, this has been authorized, and then it needs to push those transactions down. Once the initial authorization has been approved, you should not wait longer than 30 minutes though. But it's just because of those checks to ensure that they are not giving authority to a forbidden party or a party that doesn't have authority. It's protection, actually, for the users and for yourselves. So that's why there may be a delay initially of maybe 30 minutes to an hour to be authorized. And again, even when requesting them, there may be a delay, but it should not be more than 30 minutes. If it is, that may indicate that there's either a problem with the authentication or there may be a problem with the system. Yardley at that point in time, just pushing the information through. But guys, this document does give you a lot of information on exactly how it works. The fact that there is now Google authentication required, that is to make sure that you're not a robot, all of that stuff, and again to provide you with that necessary security. So guys, obviously in this digital age that has been created for us, where we want access to everything quickly, we also need to make sure that we are protected. The last thing that you want is for there not to be fail-safes and for someone to get hold of your details and to actually then use your money. I mean, nothing is worse than going into your bank and suddenly seeing, but that's not my balance. Or there to secure you can foster, it is creating a little bit of a delay. I hope that makes sense. It's for security reasons. But guys, this document is there. It explains to you exactly how it happens. If you do make use of ABSA, you can get direct bank feeds. So automatic bank feeds and direct bank feeds are a little bit different. We've just called them direct bank feeds because people are getting confused. Direct bank feeds are the fact that we have a link directly to ABSA. There is no third-party link there. With the other banks, we are still using Yardley. We are in the process of getting direct bank feeds with all of the main banks in South Africa. And what that means is that it should be a lot quicker and a lot more secure. Okay, guys, if there are major problems with bank feeds, you are going to need to get hold of support. Unfortunately, in this instance, I understand how they work, how to set them up, but there is actually a dedicated department that actually does deal with most of the errors, and I myself am not skilled in a lot of the errors that happen with bank feeds, just to be very honest with you. So when there are certain, I've been asked, when there are certain times when payments and there are certain times when the payments are received, but when they request the feeds, it's not in the batch, it's imported. So like yesterday's stuff apparently didn't reflect in today's. So obviously when you do the reconciliation, it's out. Guys, that's something that if I can request, can you maybe just check in? You can use the chat option, the in-app chat option, and please check in. There may be an issue with the specific bank. But that department would know a lot more, and they're far more up to date with the issues that are happening with the feeds, and they can give you the most up to date information. So I do know that sometimes there are issues with the banks themselves. There may be an issue with the connection. It may be taking a bit longer, but the best people to check in with would be the support department, and they will specifically be able to tell you, look, this bank is experiencing problems. This is what the issue is, or this is what we need to do to rectify that. They may also request a file to be able to see exactly what the issue is so that they can give you exact information specific to your needs. So in Sage, there is that chat option. Definitely make use of that. It is the fastest way of getting through to support. Alternatively, you can email them on supportsa@sage.com. and they will be able to also give you the most up-to-date information. I do know there can be delays. I'm unsure why the delay would be this long, But that's my reason for just, can you please request from support the most up-to-date info? Thanks. Unfortunately, I can't give you more than that. Guys, are there any other questions with regards to the bank manager as a whole? Any errors that you may have with bank manager? With bank feeds, definitely go to the bank feeds department. Guys, if there are no more questions, you're welcome to ask me anything with regards to Pastel. If you need a bit of help, I'll definitely try to assist. If I'm unable to, I will advise you exactly where to go, or if you do need to go to support. Otherwise, if you have nothing that you wish to ask me, that is it for this webinar. I do hope I'll see you in future webinars. In a couple of weeks, we are doing how to set up and use multi-stores. So I will look forward to seeing you there. Otherwise, have a fantastic weekend, and you are welcome to log out. I will await any further questions with regards to Pastel as a whole, any issues you might be having, and I'll do my best to assist you. For those who have attended, thank you so much. This recording will be available by the latest on Tuesday next week via Sage City, via the webinars link. Thanks so much, guys. Guys, well, that seems to be it. Thank you so much. And if you do have any further questions, please feel free to log on to Sage City. But at this point, it doesn't seem like there is anything. So again, have a wonderful day further. And hopefully I'll see you in future webinars. Thank you so much. Ciao, ciao.